Peyton Manning isn't expected to be healthy anytime soon, and the Broncos could be about a month away from having to decide between Peyton and 25-year-old Brock Osweiler, who was 2-0 in his starts, including that Sunday night overtime win against the Pats. Many analysts have said that Gary Kubiak's offense runs better with Osweiler at quarterback. Ryan Clark is in the house to help us with this conversation. Ryan, good to see you, as always.
See you as well.
How do you think this Broncos QB situation is going to play out?
It's crazy to me that we're like discussing this right now. We're acting like Brock Osweiler went out here and just really tore it up, like it's the greatest show on turf, and Kurt Warner is making the push, and it's undeniably so. Or that Drew Bledsoe gets hit on the sideline by Mo, and you've played so many games and won so many games with Tom Brady. Listen, Brock Osweiler was okay. He was okay. And the offense moves a little better. He does a little more from under center. But they're winning because they're running the football. So when Peyton Manning gets back, I think you have a larger sample size of what Brock Osweiler can do. He was a jag. He was just a guy for much of the game. People forget.
Just another guy.
Yeah, just a guy. They were down 14 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter. If Amendola, Edelman are receiving punts, if they're healthy, we're not even having
By the way, the guy who muffed that punt is no longer a Patriot.
Exactly. Like, we're not even having
rookie free agent.
Right. We're not having this discussion.
Right. You're right.
He made some big throws late.
He did.
I will admit that. He made some big throws late. And he does go under center more, which has allowed them to run the ball in Gary Kubiak's offense.
On the toss play that won the game, he's under center.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Peyton Manning is a legend. And Byron Scott, I thought, did a great job when he said, you know what? I'm not going to be the one to bench Kobe. And it's different situations. Obviously, the Lakers aren't trying to win a NBA championship right now. But the Denver Broncos, if Peyton Manning and when Peyton Manning gets healthy, he's your starting quarterback. You know, for the future, now you have Brock Osweiler, who can be a capable quarterback, a winning quarterback in the NFL. But he didn't just go tear it up in Chicago.
No.
It wasn't just a barn burner, and they were just throwing the ball all around the field and won the game. And it took miracles, referees, for them to beat the beat-up New England Patriots. Let's just pump our brakes a little bit and see more of Brock Osweiler before we take the sheriff and put him out to pasture.
Fair enough. Stephen A.
I respectfully disagree. Not in your points about Brock Osweiler and how he didn't tear it up, because I do agree with that. I certainly understand that, and I get your point where you say, what's the big uproar about? It's not like he went out there and looked like the second coming of Dan Marino. I think those points are valid. But I think that when you're the Denver Broncos, the fact that he has the arm strength that he has, the ability to throw outside of the numbers, the abilities for a guy like Emmanuel Sanders to have 113 receiving yards, the fact that there's an actual deep threat in the passing game because he has the arm and the velocity on his throws to do those kind of things. The fact that that alone keeps you honest ultimately helps your game in between the numbers with Daniels and Vernon Davis at your tight end spot, and the fact that you can also play under center significantly more snaps than you did with Peyton Manning, thereby facilitating a better running game. It's not about whether or not he's better than Peyton Manning. It's about whether or not he's better for this system, this offense, with this personnel, and Gary Kubiak as the coach moving forward at this particular moment in time. And I think that it's obviously nothing worth discussing if Peyton Manning is completely healthy and has his arm strength and the legs and the foot is not bothering him, and he's able to throw the football with the level of velocity that, you know, it would require. But even you told me, Ryan, that there was a point in time in this season where Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos, there were no threat in the eyes of a defense.
Definitely.
In terms of him throwing outside of the numbers. And so that's what I'm saying. It's not really about Brock Osweiler even being in Peyton Manning's class. We understand that, but the fact that he's able to keep everybody honest, thereby maximizing the weapons that Denver has available to you, even if it's from a decoy perspective, is something that I think that we can't ignore. All I'm saying is Peyton Manning has to be very, very, very healthy for this not to involve any intrigue. But anything less than that, Brock Osweiler's presence is making a legitimate argument that Peyton Manning doesn't need to be in there unless he can be Peyton Manning.
Okay, so Stephen A., are you saying that the Broncos now have a little better chance of winning this year's Super Bowl with Brock Osweiler, given the fact that Peyton probably won't be 100% healthy the rest of this year?
No, I'm saying that Peyton Manning needs to be at least 90% for you to throw him back in there. You can't throw in the Peyton Manning we saw over the last couple of weeks ahead of what you're seeing from Brock Osweiler and the Denver's offense with him there.
Okay. I'm more with Ryan on this one. I'll bring it back here to Ryan. I'm with you. I liked what I saw from Brock Osweiler because it's hard to step in for a legend and play with the poise that he played with at Chicago and against a Bill Belichick defense, even though it lost Dante Hightower and it didn't have Jamie Collins, two of the better athletes on the defense that would have made it harder for him. He played with great young poise. It's, you know this. You know how you guys would love to attack
Definitely.
He's not a rookie, but he's a first-time starter. Yeah. Okay. So given that, this team has a way better chance of winning this year's Super Bowl with a 90% Peyton Manning, like a way better chance, because you in the playoffs would fear Peyton far more than you would fear Brock Osweiler at this stage of his career. So to me, I think this situation, this is the question we're trying to answer here, I think it's going to end badly. It feels like, and I'm not there, so this is strictly from a distance, it feels like either John Elway and or Gary Kubiak have decided to put most of their eggs in Brock Osweiler's basket and hope that he continues playing at even a pretty good level, that it's going to give them a better chance in the playoffs. I disagree with that, and I think Peyton Manning is going to be completely alienated here. And if, in fact, they don't allow him a shot to come back when he says he's ready, now he may only be 51% when he's ready to go, but when he says, I'm ready, I can play now on his plantar fascia, if he wants to play, I'm going to play him. I don't think they're going to do it. And if they don't, I'm going to stand by what I predicted on this show before. He will get 100% healthy in the offseason, and he will go elsewhere to finish his career. And he might try to play 2 more years someplace else, because that's the way this guy is built. When Indianapolis pushed him out the back door, he was like, okay, I'll go somewhere else and I'll show you. And did he ever? Because he's put up 3 MVP seasons in Denver at the MVP caliber. So
yeah, I think, you know, the hard part is this is not just a normal guy. This is not Brian Hoyer, where you can flip-flop him and run him in and out with Ryan Mallett. This is Peyton Manning. This is a guy that you brought to your program, you brought to your organization because you thought he could win you a Super Bowl in the near future. And he almost did had he not run into the Seattle Seahawks 2 years ago. And so for me, I look at it that now Peyton understands I can get fully healthy and then come back and give my team a chance to win in the playoffs. He knows he doesn't have to rush back.
No, he doesn't.
He's also getting an opportunity to see how this offense works with a guy under center, with understanding that, you know what, maybe this isn't my team from the shotgun. Maybe I don't have to throw it and move it around the field like I'm used to. This works better, and I feel like he's smart enough and can take his ego out of it enough, because I've seen him check to run plays when there's 7 in the box and guys are trying to defend the pass, to understand this is how we have to win here in Denver. So I think it's a plus in many ways to watch Brock Osweiler do what he's doing.
Ryan, Skip, will y'all stop it? Look, Peyton Manning, this is not a question about his greatness, okay? Similar, Skip, to what we were talking about Kobe. There's nothing to take away from the greatness that he put on display for so many years. We can't do that with Peyton Manning either. But we're talking about now. Guys, before he was out the last 2 games, Peyton Manning had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions before he went down 2 weeks ago. 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. And what was the QBR? 45. I mean, come on now. Look, he's Peyton Manning, and I know he's great, and I know what he's done, and I get all of that. But let me tell y'all something. Prior to the last 2 games, Peyton Manning had played in 9 games. had 9 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, and a QBR of 45 and a quarterback rating of 67. Completing 59% of his passes. Is that the Peyton Manning you know? And by the way, the level of intellect that he has that you're alluding to, Ryan, where did that ever go? He's always been smart. He's always been cerebral. He's always been praised for that. We knew that. So the 9 games that you saw what you saw, they ain't an accident. Now, I know he got to get healthy, but he was healthy enough to play in 9 games. Did you see it? I mean, was it just me?
Wait, did you see the Kansas City game at Kansas City? Do you remember that one? Do you remember the finish of it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, Skip,
just for
I said
the record.
9 games. I didn't say 1.
Okay, but they started off
games.
7-0, so they won 7 games. You know, like with the disaster that is Peyton Manning.
I'm not talking about the team. The defense was elite. The defense was elite up until Indy and New England. I'm talking about by the body of work over the course of 9 games. He had a couple of good games, played against Detroit well, if I remember correctly, and definitely Kansas City. But Skip, there was 9 games.
Okay, but he tore his plantar fascia 2 games back. So you know, that's all I know.
7?
Okay.
All right, 7? 7
right.
then? I mean, give it to me.
Here's the thing, though.
17 interceptions.
The same thing, though. It's not like this team wasn't winning games with Peyton Manning. He was playing bad. I give you that. He threw 4 interceptions in his last outing with the foot injury. But all I'm saying is if Peyton Manning is healthy, Stephen A., you know it, Skip, you know it, you don't just do that to people. And maybe Kubiak has more intestinal fortitude than anybody in the world and more guts, and he's going to say, Peyton, I don't trust you out there. I'm going with the Brockweiler, and that's what it's going to be.
Well, I agree.
But for me, in this situation, because it's Peyton Manning, all what you're saying is true. The stats, I understand that. The way it looked to the eye test, I get it. It's still Peyton Manning. And almost healthy Peyton Manning has to play. He has to play over Brock Osweiler unless he just blows it out of the water. And he's not. Okay.
I agree with you and Skip on that. I'm just saying, don't sit here and try to sell us that, you know what, we were not seeing what we were seeing. Just sit there and say, look, he's Peyton Manning. You got to ride the wave because his greatness has been too long. You can't just cut him off at the knees like that. I agree with that. Just don't tell me we haven't been seeing what we saw before he went down. That's all I'm asking.
Great conversation. One thing we can all agree on is once Peyton's healthy, there's going to be more than friction in Denver. And we're going to have another great conversation with you coming up, talking about some front runners in the Heisman race.
Yes.
So you will be back, Ryan. We'll see you in a little bit. Meanwhile, Barry Bonds is expected to join the Marlins. Skip and Stephen A. will tell you if they're on board with this move. That's next. This is First Take. Stay here.